So, if you were looking at Polygon's best new tabletop RPG books, you might have noticed that a lot of the books that they mention are 5e compatible books. So, what are actually the top 10 best selling games of 2023? Now, I'm going to be looking at DriveThruRPG here, and I cannot tell you if they are exactly the best selling games of the entire year, but they are in the top best selling category on DriveThruRPG's main page. This includes stuff that came out very recently, as well as stuff that came at the beginning of the year or middle of the year. There are various metals that these products get, which go from copper to adamantium. Copper is 50 plus copies have been sold, silver 100, electrum 250, gold 500, platinum 1000, mithril 2000, and adamantine over 5000. I'm going to be focusing on games that are either system agnostic or an entirely different system than D&D 5e. This way, I can show stuff that is not just Wizards of the Coast putting out a supplement and selling 5,000 copies in less than a month. I am getting this list directly from DriveThruRPG. I am not aware of every game studio that's out there and what controversies might have come up with their business practices or politics, so please take everything that I show here with a grain of salt and know that I'm just looking at the empirical data that I can find from DriveThruRPG, where I filtered for 2023 and making sure that the game is a core rulebook. In the 10th position, we have a game I've never heard of called Across a Thousand Dead Worlds. It's a sci-fi horror game. It looks to be a D100 based system. It is a gold bestseller, which means it sold over 500 copies but under 1,000, and it came out in May of 2023. This, honestly, it seems interesting. I might give it a shot. It's only $20, so hey, if you're interested in some sci-fi horror, check it out. Maybe it can be an alternative for the Aliens RPG that came out recently as well. In our 9th position, we have Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th Edition. Now, it is an Electrum bestseller, which means it sold between 250 and 500 copies. It also came out in October. It is a World of Darkness game, which I cover Chronicles of Darkness on my channel, and World of Darkness is a bit of a contentious topic, especially when it comes to the 5th edition rule set. It is a White Wolf property from Paradox Studios, but it is made by Renegade Game Studio. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but basically you get to play as werewolves who fight against various groups and organizations who are trying to destroy the world. It is set in the modern day. It's urban fantasy. If you don't want to check it out, or if you do want to check it out, you can go here. If you don't want to check it out, I can recommend Werewolf the Forsaken 2nd Edition and Chronicles of Darkness as an alternative. In our 8th position, we have one of my favorites, which is Trinity Continuum Anima. It is a copper bestseller, which means it's only sold between 50 to 100 copies, but it came out in December, which means it might be a little bit inflated for the list. I'm not too sure. What's your thoughts on that? A sci-fi setting set in the Trinity Continuum universe where superheroes have destroyed the world and now we're living in a cyberpunk dystopic future with lit RPG elements. So if you're aware of Sword Art Online, Awaken Online, or Ready Player One, this is the type of game for you. I will be doing a full rundown of Trinity Continuum Anima sometime in the future, but I'll let you guys know when that happens. In our 7th position, we have Tales from the Floating Vagabond 2nd Edition. It's a silver bestseller, which means it's only sold about 100 copies or more. Now, it did come out in December, which means its numbers are going to be inflated a little bit, but it is something that I think people should check out because it's a slapstick type role-playing game. It's a little bit fun. It's not taking itself serious. It's got a very cartoonish aesthetic, as well as saying that it has been inspired by Douglas Adams, Terry Pratchett, and Weird Al. So you sort of know what type of game you're going into with this. And if you're interested in checking it out, it's only $10, so you're not spending too much money on it. In our 6th position, we have Dragonbane, which is actually from the 1980s. It is a Swedish or Scandinavian, it says in the description, game that has been translated by Free League Publishing. It came out in April of 2023, and it's a platinum bestseller at over 1,000 copies sold. Definitely check it out. It's not often you see non-English games being represented in the top 10 of DriveThruRPG. In the 5th position, we have the Warhammer 40k Imperium Maledictum core rulebook. This is a Mithril bestseller, which means it sold over 2,000 copies, and it came out in March of 2023. This is a little bit contentious for me because there are so many different 40k role-playing games. There's the Fantasy Flight role-playing game book, and there's the Wrath and Glory role-playing game book. I did purchase the Wrath and Glory one when it came out. I didn't purchase this one yet. That is because when Wrath and Glory came out, it had such a troubled production that they had to redo it again with Cubicle 7 instead of the original publishers. There was a lot wrong with that book. I'm not going to get into it, but I hear that Imperium Maledictum is a lot better than what Wrath and Glory was when it first was released. I haven't played it, however, it's a Warhammer 40k role-playing game. If you're into Warhammer, check out this book. In our 4th position, we have another Electrum bestseller, which is the Walking Dead Universe RPG, based off of AMC's The Walking Dead TV show and the graphic novels, but more so the TV show, it seems, because it even has AMC in the logo. However, it is a Electrum bestseller, which means it has sold over 250 copies, and it came out in November. It's pretty light on a system. I'm not so familiar with the Year Zero engine. However, it does have rules for solo play for playing a solo survivor in the zombie apocalypse. So you can check it out. It only has 2 reviews and 17 ratings, which isn't a lot, but it did come out in November, so it definitely deserves a place on this list, in my opinion. In our 3rd position is Mythic Game Master Emulator 2nd Edition. Now, if you're familiar with the concept of solo games where you play without a GM and you're the only player, so one player with no GM, you will be familiar with this likely. The problem with a lot of people when they try and play role-playing games is trying to find a game master. What this book does is give you rules and sort of instruction on how to run without one. I looked through the preview of this. It's interesting to say the least. It's not something for me, but if you're interested in it, it is an Adamantine bestseller, and it came out in January of 2023. So it's probably should be in the 1st position of this list, but honestly, it's something that you should check out if you're interested. In the 2nd position, we have Cities Without Number, which was highly anticipated for me because it was from the same person who brought us Stars Without Number and Worlds Without Number. The reason for this is that Cities Without Number is a cyberpunk city generator, essentially, along with its own OSR type system, as well as it says here. But honestly, you can just buy the book and roll the random tables that it comes with to create your own setting for your own cyberpunk game, even if you're using Cyberpunk Red or any of the other systems that are out there. Honorable mention goes to Scion 2nd Edition Once and Future, where you get to play as Arthurian legend characters. It's actually a supplement to Scion 2nd Edition, so that's why it's an honorable mention. This is Traveler's Wrath of the Ancients. It's another honorable mention. It is a silver bestseller, which means it sold over 100 copies. Traveler is a sci-fi role-playing game that is notorious for having people die during character creation. So check it out if you're interested. I don't know why this is set up as a core rulebook. It seems to be more of a supplement or some type of adventure. In the number 1 spot, we have Candela Obscura, which is probably one of the most anticipated books of 2023. Now, this is a book that's only been out a month, so it's probably shot up into the hottest section for just being one of those books that everyone was waiting for and clamoring for. It's an Electrum bestseller, which means it's sold over 250 copies, but under 500. It is a Magipunk type fantasy setting, sort of akin to Call of Cthulhu with a lot of occult magic-y stuff. I've watched a little bit of the actual play, but not all of it to completion. It's interesting. Give it a shot if you're interested in that type of setting. It is something that a lot of people were waiting for. Shout out to our patrons for supporting the channel.